Hello, everyone. This is Santosh Christudas. I'm talking to you from the Toronto Business Journal. And today we are covering a supernatural topic that's taking the world by storm, literally, and which, unfortunately, a lot of people are still not talking about, the Mandela Effect. And today I have a guest with me. His name is Cam Jennings. Hello,
Hey,
Cam.
what's up, man? Hey, how's it going, Sonny? Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem at all, Cam. And thank you for joining us today from Ohio, Springfield. How's the weather there? How's everything going?
Hey, listen, it is a perfect 74 degrees here
Wow.
today. I mean, it's absolutely amazing outside. I got a little bit of work done, and hey,
Okay.
here in Ohio, it doesn't happen that often. It's hit and miss. So yeah,
Oh,
today's great.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Cam, and
Yeah, I
what
mean,
you do.
so I've been I work for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I run
Okay.
a online business. I've been running a business called Epic Conversions for the last 5 years. It is a digital publishing company specializing in email marketing and e-learning. And you know, making videos about the Mandela effect was not my that's not was I had no intention of doing that. That wasn't
Yeah.
what I was online to do at all. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a curveball for me, man. It was definitely something that kind of hit me out of left field, and it's been crazy.
Yeah.
So I actually, you know what? To be honest with you, you guys reached out to me to do this interview, and I thought, maybe I should prepare for this interview. Then I thought, actually, I think I spent the last 3 years preparing for this interview,
I'm glad
so
to hear
I'm good.
that.
I think I'm good on that one.
Yeah, definitely. You're not alone, Cam, because the Mandela effect threw all of us like a curveball, like none other, right? And you running a business, I'm sure you have a lot of attention to detail, and
Yeah,
then all of a sudden things are changing all around you, like logos and even like I said, like I mentioned before the interview, even like buildings coming out of nowhere or like trees or sometimes even people like coming into your life that you may have never met before, and all of a sudden they know you from somewhere, and
yeah,
it's very very bizarre. So yeah,
yeah.
so go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
So let's just start off things simple. So what was your first official Mandela effect that really got you? Like, how did you hear about it, and what were your reactions after that?
So it was like 2016,
Okay.
and I was walking through the grocery, not the grocery store. I was walking through Walmart, and
Okay.
I was looking for a birthday present, for a family member, and I kind of I walked by the Star Wars action figures, and I
Oh.
noticed that C-3PO action figure kind of had a silver
Oh,
leg.
that's a good one.
And
Yeah.
I didn't like think that much of it, to be honest, man, because I was
Yeah.
a big Star Wars
Yeah.
fan from back in the day,
Right.
but I'd kind of gotten out of it. I'm older, I have a family. I'm not like just watching Star Wars all the time anymore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like back in my 20s, I was really into it, but I've been out of it. So I just kind of figured, hey, they're always having like spin-offs for the Star Wars cartoons and stuff. It probably has something to do with like spin-offs. I didn't think much of it.
Right.
But then I got home, maybe like a couple days later. My wife was telling me, "Hey man, listen, I saw something that really blew my mind. You need to check this out." And she started showing me this stuff about this Mandela effect thing that she was seeing on YouTube.
Ah.
And I was like looking at it like, "What? That's so weird." And then I started to make a connection. Wait a minute, the other day I saw this thing with C-3PO. I wonder if that's has to do with this.
Ah.
And then I looked it up and I was like, sure enough, that was the same thing, man. He's always had a silver leg. And I was like, that's so bizarre. This robot has always had a silver leg. I remember being a completely golden robot, and
Yeah.
so yeah, that was probably the first thing for me. And then the other thing that really, really hit me personally, because I was such a super fan when I was a kid, was the A Team. There's
Ah.
the A Team van. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but because there's so many of them. I mean, there's thousands of these things,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
One of them, there was a show called the A Team. You might be familiar, but in like the 80s, there was a show called the A Team, and they had a
Mr.
van.
T, right? Mr.
Yeah, yeah,
T. Yeah. 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 I've
exactly,
seen it.
Mr. T.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a van they rode around in, right? And
Right.
and I always remember the van being black with a red stripe
Right.
on it. And I watched this show religiously. I was very very into this show. Okay,
Yeah.
a super fan. And
Right.
But now, the van is two-tone. It's black on the top with the red stripe, and it's
Ah,
gray on the bottom. So it's totally
wow.
different. You would like it's totally different, man. So like those are the two probably that really hit me personally. And then there's been other ones along the way, but those are probably the first two that just kind of rocked me. Like I couldn't come up with a logical explanation for what has happened here.
Interesting.
So
So yeah, it's always the little things like it's like a little color here, or like it starts small. For me personally, it was the Mr. Rogers song, as I mentioned, like it's a wonderful day in this neighborhood, and that just throws the whole meaning of the song. It's like only this neighborhood's nice. it's it's kind of weird. And
it,
also I wanted to talk about Star Wars since you were into that. The big one, of course, Luke, I am your father.
mm-hmm.
Instead,
Yeah.
now it's no, I am your father.
Yeah.
That threw a lot of people off. That was a big one
Yeah.
too.
It
Yeah,
sounds weird. It
yeah,
sounds weird when he says it. It just sounds different. Like in
yeah,
you mentioned Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Like
yeah.
you mentioned, we were talking earlier how about you're a musician, I'm a
Exactly.
musician,
Yeah,
and as a musician, it doesn't sound right.
it doesn't. Yeah,
The count, the syllable count is like it's just wrong. It sounds wrong.
it does.
I think they even named that movie with Tom Hanks. Um, it's
In,
a beautiful day in the neighborhood, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah. I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah. Anyway, in the movie, it was the way we remember it. So it's like Hollywood is kind of like playing with us or something, and I don't know
so
what's going on.
hey man, that is yeah. And look, I don't understand what's going on with it. I really don't.
Yeah.
I've spent the last 3 or 4 years
Wow.
looking at these little anomalies, and I've heard lots of different theories about what it could be. And of course, a lot of people just say, "Oh, you guys are just misremembering things."
Yeah,
You guys
that's the
are,
problem. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but it is weird when you got like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people misremembering things
Exactly.
the exact same way. I mean, we're just all misremembering things the same way. You know what's
Exactly.
funny, Sonny?
Yeah. Yeah.
I must have become like a misremembering fool right at 2016. Like I was cool up until 2016, and now all of
Yeah,
a
there you
sudden
go.
I'm misremembering everything.
That makes no sense unless there's something has changed for sure. That's concrete for me as far as I'm concerned. And not to
Yeah,
mention it, there's so much residue of the old way. Remember it, and so it's not just us, as you said, but it's professionals who mention, say, certain actors' name that's changed, right? Like for example, Jim Carrey was a big one for me. It was Carey. Now it's Carrey, which makes no sense.
right.
So I don't know what's going on. So is there a different person that is Jim Carrey now in this timeline? Like, how does a person celebrity's name change and they're not even aware of it? Like, do they get the downloads or are they
I don't
NPCs?
know. I don't know, man. I mean,
Fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of the theories. I know like simulation theory is
yeah.
is something that people have talked about. People talk about the great disillusion, out of the Bible. I know like
Wow.
I called a couple of bookstores called
Hmm.
Lion and Lamb.
Oh yeah, it's a big
There's
one.
several bookstores, right? Called
Yeah,
Lion and Lamb Bookstore. I'm
yeah,
like, well, that's kind of weird. It's not Lion and Lamb anymore. Now it's the Wolf and the Lamb. So why are these
yeah.
bookstores called Lion and Lamb
There's
Bookstore?
schools. I looked it up. There's schools called Lion and the Lamb Preschool or something.
Yeah,
You build a whole school on a verse that doesn't exist anymore.
I know.
It's
I called a
yeah.
bookstore and I asked
Wow.
them. I said, hey man, I talked to the owner. I said, what? I don't understand. Like why did you guys call your bookstore? I'm just curious here. I'm writing a report. Like
Yeah.
why
Oh,
did you call your why did you call your bookstore Lion and Lamb Bookstore? And their answer to me was, we just thought it sounded cool. It's
yeah.
alliteration, lion, lamb. It just sounded cool, and
I don't
I have to
know.
accept it because they're the ones who named it. But it just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me. You're a Christian
Yeah.
bookstore, and you called your store the Lion and the Lamb Bookstore. So I don't
Now,
know.
I think they're just like coping with it, or maybe they're scared, or maybe they got the downloads and this is the new reality for them.
Yeah.
Another one that big one happened was the word unicorn in the strength of a unicorn, right? In the all the King James Version Bible. I showed that to like I said, I was a bit shocked. So I went to a Bible shop owner that my wife used to go to, and I showed him that word, and he was speechless. Like, what? And he owns a Bible store. Imagine how many Bibles he's seen in his life. Like, What? Where did they
Yeah,
put the unicorn in there?
I never do the. I didn't even know that, man.
Oh, there's
The
big
word the
changes.
unicorn is in the
Oh,
Bible.
oh, it gets really bad. There's like all kinds of there's instead of wine skins, there's now bottles in the Bible, and there's aliens in the Bible, the Matrix. Oh, you gotta there's a website, mandelabible.changes.com. They go more in depth to that. I think I don't know if I don't know what's causing it, but it could be something like kind of trolling us, maybe, or maybe it's something. I hope it's not sinister, but it's something that's kind of maybe it's even God that's trying to wake us up. Maybe because that's why all these changes in the Bible, for example. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, I've heard a lot of theories.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of research. I looked into the whole CERN thing. I
Oh
studied
yeah.
CERN really like extensively, and I put together this long video about it. And
Cool.
it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, like you just don't know. You
Yeah.
don't know what's happening, and like um I even like I thought I kind of had a clue, because I was looking at Google Trends,
Okay.
and are you familiar with that tool, Google Trends?
Yeah, yeah. I've searched. I've seen a few screenshots of like the people searching and stuff. Right? They
Yeah,
search a
people
certain thing.
searching. Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like I would do Google Trend search because like I run an online business, so I know
Yeah.
about analytics and all that stuff for my job. But anyway, so I'm like doing Google searches and Google Trends for
Right.
Mandela Effect stuff, and I
Okay.
noticed that like all these search results, they're only coming up for like United States, Canada, and Australia. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute. So people are only searching for Mandela Effect in the United States and in Canada and in Australia, and nobody else around the whole world cares about this stuff. So
Hmm.
like that kind of started making me think that maybe it was artificially created, somehow targeted to this certain area of the
Hmm.
world. But that I didn't look a little bit deeper, man. And months and months and months later, I finally looked a little bit deeper and I realized, hey, look, man, people in these other countries aren't
Yeah.
using English.
Exactly.
So when I started typing those search terms in those other languages,
Yeah.
boom, it started popping up in those other countries as well. So
Yeah.
people all around the world are searching for this stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's not just in America and Canada and Australia. People all around the world are searching, trying to figure out what's going on with some of these weird little anomalies. So
Right. Yeah, like I mentioned, like the Great Wall of India, right? Like I never heard of that, and it just popped out of nowhere in history. And I've talked to some people, and they didn't know what it was. One of my friends, he kind of got a download, and then yeah, at first he didn't know what I was talking about, and then all of a sudden, yeah, I know that place. It's always been there. Like
oh, it's always been there, man. Oh, okay,
that.
sure, all right.
That's terrifying sometimes. It's like, who are these people? Like, so anyway, so since we're on this topic, and you did a bit of research, so what have you been able to find? What's causing? Is it CERN? Are you like maybe 50% or 100% sure? Or of course, nobody could be 100%, but
I don't
can't
know, man.
pinpoint it.
Like my like that Google Trend research had me really thinking that like it was kind of a psyop kind of thing, that was
Ah,
kind of like maybe, and this sounds crazy, right? A lot of this stuff sounds crazy. So like
yeah,
I'm spitballing here. I'm aware that it all sounds weird and crazy.
right.
But that being said, like I was thinking it was kind of a like some kind of psyop, kind of like hypnosis kind of thing that that somebody was doing to America and a few other places as well, Canada and Australia. But like I said, man, when I started searching in other languages and I saw that it was affecting everybody, it's
Yeah,
not just affecting people in these English speaking countries. Kind of blew that theory out of the water.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I really, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it could be a religious thing. It could be the the great delusion. It's terrifying to think that, but I
yeah,
guess that could be a possibility. I mean, it could be a CERN thing.
yeah,
Maybe they are creating these miniature black holes, and
maybe.
that is what they're doing. They're
Yeah,
creating these black holes for research so they can
right.
figure out the elements and I kind of forget a lot of the research I've done on that particular subject. It's a lot of scientific,
Yeah.
stuff, but there's definitely stuff going on in CERN
Yeah.
that is interesting and weird, but I wouldn't go so far as to say, hey, they're changing time. That's a pretty big stretch. I couldn't say that you know
Yeah.
realistically, but I mean, I guess it's possible, man. I mean, I don't know how to explain some of these changes, to be honest with you. So, and it's weird. I mean, it's very strange. Little things, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you one. So Jewel, right? The artist, the musical artist Jewel.
Right.
You probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, she had that hit song in the 90s, Who Will Save Your Soul, right?
Hmm.
But now in the song, she doesn't say who will save your soul anymore. She says
What?
who yeah, she says who will save your souls.
Ah, those little stuff like plurals or here and
Yeah.
there. It's so,
Like the
yeah.
name of the song is Who Will Save Your Soul. It was a
Yeah.
hit song. I heard it like a million times. It was all over the radio in the 90s and
Yeah.
in the early 2000s. Like, it was soul. Who will save your soul? It wasn't who will save your souls. But now it's as clear as day. Who will save your souls?
and
And I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, I
and
can't explain it.
and
So
sometimes I know people have experienced, I've experienced this too. It flip flops. Like one time you listen it, there's no S. Another time you listen to it, there is an S. Has that ever happened to you? Have you had those flip flops of the Mandela effect of any
yeah,
of
I
them?
feel like that Febreze thing has flip flop a couple times
Yeah.
for me. Like the spelling of Febreze, like a simple, you know,
Yeah.
air freshener Febreze. I feel like that's flip flop a couple times for me. I think I've seen it spelled like three different times, three different ways now. Like, it's driving me crazy, dude. I don't
Yeah.
even know what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, I guess it's whatever. I mean, I think for me, ultimately, I mean, the Mandela effect is one of those situations where it's really hard to find an answer.
Yeah.
You could really just drive yourself crazy trying to find an answer. And I don't know. I think eventually for me, I just kind of like, I didn't walk away from it. I still kind of casually observe it,
Hmm.
but I try not to get sucked into it like crazy because I guess I just chalk it up to, one of those weird things about the world that I can't explain. Like, I remember this one time, right? I had a supernatural encounter, like with a ghost, right? And
Oh, okay.
everyone's gonna laugh, right? When I say this, people are just gonna laugh, right? So whatever. No one ever believes you, my friend. Like, you say something weird happened to you, no one's gonna believe you. So it doesn't matter. But I tell you, like, I saw a ghost, full body apparition,
Wow.
walking down the road. I was
Wow.
I was in my yard, right? I was in my yard. It was dusk, and saw this lady walking down the road, right? I lived on a quiet road in the country. You can see there's fields everywhere. There's nowhere to go. It's dusk. It's getting dark. I see this lady walking down the road. She's solid as you and me. I couldn't see through her. She's perfectly solid. But the
Wow.
weird thing about her was she was dressed like from an olden time, like from the Little
Oh,
House on like from Little House on the Prairie or something.
interesting.
She was old time dressed. And she didn't have a gait the way she walked. She just kind of like moved. Now you're gonna laugh when I say this, but when I looked at her, I couldn't stop looking at her, and
Hmm.
I thought that this is what I thought because I'm a big dumb animal. But what I thought was she must have just came from the Renaissance fair or something like that.
Yeah, that's
I
what
thought
anybody would think, right? Like
I
first
I thought
glance.
she yeah I thought she came from the Renaissance fair,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I couldn't stop looking at her because I thought she was on like roller skates or
Hmm.
like a skateboard or
Oh, she
something.
was gliding,
Yeah, she
basically.
was
Yeah.
like gliding, man. She was gliding,
Oh,
but she was as real as you and me. I mean, she didn't look
wow.
like transparent or anything. She was just a lady, and she
Yeah.
was just gliding. And then, like, I couldn't stop looking at her, and I walked. Here's my house, right? And she's on the
Right.
road in front of my house, but I'm
Right.
anyways, I lost her behind my house, and then I went the other side of my house, and I walked all the way around my house, and she was gone. There was
Oh,
nowhere she could have went. She just disappeared. Like, there was literally nowhere she could have went. She just disappeared. And it wasn't until that happened that I was like, I think I just saw a ghost, man. But I just saw a ghost. So like,
Wow.
there's no other way I could explain that situation, right? Anyone I try to tell that to, you, your audience, anybody in real life, they're all just gonna be like, "Ah, shut up,
No,
dude,
no,
you're
I believe
crazy."
you, man. I've had those kind of encounters, and I hope people are all waking up. There are ghosts, right? I mean, obviously,
I don't
there's an
know. I
afterlife, and
I guess
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that it was a ghost.
yeah.
Someone could say, "Well, hey, man, that was probably another dimension." You know,
That could be true. Yeah,
you like you saw
yeah.
something that phased out from another
Timeline, maybe. She's like,
timeline or something, you
yeah,
know? And I would say, okay,
there's,
maybe you're right. I don't really know what I saw. What I do know is that it defies all logic what I
yeah.
saw.
Wow.
So I tell you that story just because I kind of I file that in the category with the Mandela effect of
Yeah,
stuff that
unexplainable.
they're unexplainable. I can't make any sense of it. And I think with the Mandela effect, it's a little bit insidious, right?
Yeah,
Because it's something that can make you start doubting everything.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
now you're doubting everything. Now
yeah.
you don't. What happens when you can't trust anything, man? What happens when you can't trust the world in front of you anymore? Like, I mean, at what point do you just like start to unhinge a little bit because you can't trust anything?
Exactly.
So it's kind of a insidious thing, and like I was really kind of turned off by all these conspiracy theories when this whole thing happened in Washington D.C. And you might not be aware because you're not in the United States, but we had this thing where everyone like kind of stormed the
Oh, the
Capitol.
capital. Yeah, we heard about it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
several months ago. Now I believe, and a couple people lost their lives, and I
Wow.
feel
Yeah,
like that wouldn't have happened if it
yeah,
wasn't for like Facebook and social media and all the conspiracy theory type stuff that's circling around. A lot of these social media algorithms, they actually will promote the conspiracy theory news more than they'll promote the regular news, just because it's a computer algorithm and it's promoting what people are interested in and what gets attention. So
yeah.
it's kind of an error, and I think they're starting to try to correct it now. But anyways, when that happened, it kind
Yeah.
of made me stand back a little bit from the whole thing. And
Okay.
I'm not saying that the Mandela effect is not real, because I've seen things that are unexplainable.
Yeah.
They defy all logic.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah.
And but at the same time, I think a lot of these things out here are just kind of being used to push other agendas. So
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
that's what I'd say. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Uh, I do agree with you. As we mentioned before the show, like not a lot of people are talking about the Mandela effect, which seems to be a much bigger topic. And yet, and on this topic subject, do you think there's some kind of censorship around this whole Mandela effect, or is there? Because a lot of truthers are not
Yeah.
talking about this; they're talking about everything else. They're talking about all kinds of stuff that is, like you said, like could be potentially harmful for people, but not something that where the reality of our existence itself is changing. And do you have any insights why these otherwise very intelligent truthers are in denial? I will give you one example. There was a friend of mine. He was also a very good, nice truther. He was a cool guy, and all of a sudden, he just completely flipped on the Mandela effect. He started to call everybody who believed in the Mandela effect as morons, stupid, and almost every single day he was posting like trying to debunk the Mandela effect, even though it can't be debunked. And it was
You
like
can't
twenty four
debunk it.
seven. He was like a broken record. And even I left like comments like, "Why are you like a broken record? What's so? Are you like threatened by this? Are you under some kind of possession?" And he wouldn't reply. Like I even told him all the Bible changes, and he wouldn't. So yeah. So do you think there's some kind of like a gate coming, or is it like I mean, I hate to go there, but are some people NPCs, are soulless, or are they part of this simulation so they can't really see beyond a certain level, or are they yet to wake up? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's different kinds of people?
It's a great question,
Thank you.
Sonny. You know, I do believe that people have kind of I don't know what they're kind of cooled off. That's the best way to put that. I do believe that people have cooled off on the Mandela effect a little bit.
Mhm.
And I believe that in some of it, some of the reason is because I know a lot of governments are coming down on social media. They're
Yeah.
coming down on them to um, you know kind of like limit what they're promoting. Like when it comes to the conspiracy theory stuff, when it comes to stuff that they deem to be conspiracy theory or just stuff that's not true or just outrageous, they're starting to come down on these social media platforms about promoting that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to YouTube, you know, people starting to see like, well, when I put out this kind of content, you know, my videos get demonetized and stuff like that. So like that in itself will kind of censor people, right?
Yeah.
Just the idea of being demonetized, especially if people are doing YouTube for a living, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a big threat.
Now they're like, oh, okay, I do this for a living. If I talk about this one subject, now I'm going to be demonetized. I know several Mandela Effect channels in the last year or two that have had trouble like being demonetized and being, you know, and turned off, in fact. And it all kind of stems from advertising, right? Like, you know, YouTube, if advertisers leave YouTube, then YouTube has to come down on the create. That's a whole nother subject. But the point is, yeah, I definitely believe there's some censorship going on, you know, and that could be why some people have cooled off on the subject. But the terrifying part is, it doesn't really matter how much people cool off on the subject, because all you have to do is look back into it. I've looked back into it recently. It's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. Every time I look into it, Sonny, I find new ones. There's always new ones. It's like, I thought maybe it would just go away, but it didn't go away. It just keeps on going. So
there's some kind of a force behind this that's trying to push us in a certain direction. Maybe, I don't know. I've always kind of like, you know, life is like a dream, you know, like, so maybe as you mentioned, some things aren't explained. Like, can you explain a dream? You can't explain a dream, right? No. Random things happen. So one of my theories is this has always been sort of like a controlled dream, like the Matrix or something. It's this very controlled, but our consciousness is like way bigger than this reality, right? This body, even our human body has changed. There's some Mandela effect there too. So maybe it's just our consciousness is rising above, and some people unfortunately are still like stuck in that lower vibration or lower consciousness level. And maybe it's like there's like some kind of filtering system going on. And
I've heard theories about that as well. That's not the first time I've heard that idea. Right. In fact, I think I was one channel that I listen to a lot is Moneybags on YouTube. Are you familiar?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's great. And and he, I think he talks about something similar with the vibrations and, you know, higher level of consciousness and stuff.
Right.
And it could totally be true. I mean, who knows? Sonny, I was watching this show the other day, right?
Right.
And this is absolutely true. It's undeniable. It's documented. Okay. So this guy, this blows me away, man. This happened. So this guy, he's never played the piano before in his life. He doesn't know anything about playing piano. He never took a piano lesson. So one day, he jumps in a swimming pool, hits his head on the bottom of the pool, right?
Yeah.
Gets out of the pool, and now all of a sudden, he knows how to play the piano. He's a master piano player. You know what he does now for a living?
Wow.
He plays the piano. Like he tours the world playing the piano.
What a story!
Like
my goodness.
That's what he does. I mean, he is an expert piano player, and he didn't study this. He just bonked his head on the bottom of a swimming
Lucky
pool.
bonk.
Yeah, most people just get paralyzed. This cat became a master piano player. So how do you explain that?
Yeah, like I said, our consciousness is so much bigger. Like in a dream, right? You'd be able to do anything, right? You can fly, whatever. That's what I'm just saying, maybe our reality is like that, but it's all been like, maybe God is testing us here in this realm for some reason by limiting our like full thing. So maybe what happened with this guy who, you know, hit his head, he tapped into that higher consciousness.
Yeah.
Which is, and that higher consciousness knows how to do everything. Like a piano is one thing. So that part of it just came in. For example, Mozart, right? He could make compositions when he was like 3 years old, or like just unbelievable talent. He's only crazy. Like 2 or 3 years old. So how did he get that? I
don't know.
So maybe there's
I couldn't even talk, you know, when I was that age. So
most of us, right? We could barely walk. We could barely like, you know, go to the potty or something.
Yeah, we couldn't even use the bathroom. So it was like, you know, this guy was writing symphonies.
Exactly. So it's,
it's crazy. I mean, it's really something. And I mean, the idea that someone could just become a master piano player. And like I'm sitting here telling you this, it sounds like a dumb story, but you can go look it up. Anybody can go look it up. It really happened. It's really true. And that's not an isolated event.
Yeah.
It's happened to other people in different ways. So it makes you wonder, like, is that just like a higher conscious kind of thing? Is that like a past life kind of thing? Is that like a simulation kind of thing? Like somehow bonk, a cheat code has been unlocked when you hit your head, and
I wouldn't
now
be
like
surprised. I wouldn't be
you know,
surprised, man.
I don't know. I mean, you throw your hands up, like, what the hell's that? I don't know. Understand what just happened? Like, and I, the Mandela effect's like that, right? The
Yeah.
Mandela effect's
Simulation.
the same situation. And what really bugs me is how many people they just don't want to hear it, right? They don't like their
Yeah.
narrative is already when we start talking about this kind of stuff,
They
like
just
their
walk
narrative.
away.
Yeah, oh, here's a crazy person. Oh my God, this dude's a conspiracy theorist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As soon as they label you conspiracy theorist, it's like you've just lost your voice.
Done. Yep.
Yeah,
That's true.
you lost all your credibility is out the window. No one wants to hear what you have to say now. I can run around and tell people right now, hey man, listen, UFOs are real, dude. They're going to release a report. The U.S. government's actually getting ready to release a report later on this month
Right.
about all their findings on UFOs. So it's a real thing. It's been happening. They've been seeing a lot of weird stuff for years now. These big unidentifiable shadow things in the ocean that have risen up, like Navy divers have seen them on their way down. It's fascinating, dude. And I'm not trying to get off on another.
Oh no, it's all part of this, right? It's all part of the magical world.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get off on a wild tangent, but yeah, man, it's crazy. They're going to be releasing a report later this month. This is as we do this, it's June 17th. I think this report's going to come out on June 25th or 27th. But it doesn't matter if it's really been documented by the U.S. government. It doesn't really matter that it's been documented by other governments. It doesn't matter that this report's coming out. The fact is, most people already have a narrative in their mind about UFOs, and it's just some fake nonsense. Doesn't matter what you say. You've lost your voice as soon as you try to say anything about it. So I think that's the part that really bugs me about the Mandela effect is the fact that people like deny anything you have to say, sometimes with aggression. They
get angry. Oh yeah,
I've seen
that.
Yeah,
that makes no sense at all. Why would you get angry? Like, I mean, I'm just talking about and I think what the government is doing with the UFOs and all that stuff, it's like kind of slow disclosure. They don't want to like stun the public, but the public still doesn't seem, as you said, as interested.
No,
they're still like going on about maybe a reality TV or something stupid. I mean, kind of silly, right? Like, but maybe
something to understand though. It's something to understand.
It's on a very low level of consciousness, and they're constantly bombarded by like they also seem to have a less attention span. I mean, I don't know if you've observed this since you woke up to the Mandela effect. I've seen that people are more sensitive, and then more like less attention span. People have changed around me too since especially all this has happened, or maybe we're the ones changing. Maybe we're like getting in touch, like the piano player who just bonked his head, knows piano all of a sudden. Maybe we're like tapping into all kinds of stuff that they don't understand, so they just sort of like maybe the Mandela effect is slow disclosure. I mean, maybe they're just showing us. There was a Sean Indigo or something. He was a great channel. He said something about like they're making the changes like not too big so that people don't get like shocked overnight. So they're doing it as like these little stuff. So just to like test the audience or test the people that live here and see how they react. And then maybe down the road, something big will happen. But speaking of that, now the big one, the Statue of Liberty one, I wanted to cover because you covered that extensively.
Sure.
So I did visit the Statue of Liberty with my family. I was like, I think 8 or 9 years old. And I distinctly remember there was a way we could go to the torch all the way up there. Now, personally, we didn't go. My brother kind of wanted to go, but then my dad said it was a little bit late or something, and then we didn't go. But it was definitely open to the public. Now, in this timeline, unfortunately, as you know, since 1916, the torch has been inaccessible because of the Black Tom event. And of course, And of course, the Statue of Liberty itself has moved now from the Ellis Island to the Liberty Island, which is
Right.
huge. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like I remember back in I think it was year 2000. I was in New York several times because I was living in Rhode Island, and I went
Right.
there to Manhattan several times. And yeah, I remember the Statue of Liberty being on Ellis Island,
Yeah.
and I don't even remember there being a Liberty Island. I'd never even heard of that island before a few
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, I never even heard of it before a few years ago. And the Black Tom explosion that you're talking about,
Mhm.
like supposedly that's the first attack on American soil. But like
Yeah.
that's funny because like I was always taught that Pearl Harbor
Pearl
was the
Harbor.
first
Yeah.
attack on American soil. That
Yeah.
that was the first attack on American soil. So I mean, there's a lot of little discrepancies with that situation. Like I don't know. I mean, I was in New York. I remember it being on Ellis Island, but it
Right.
doesn't matter what I say. It's like that stupid ghost. You know what I mean? It's like who cares what I say? No one's gonna believe me anyway. So it doesn't matter. I could say that, and people are like, "Oh, you're crazy." You can say, "Hey, I went there when I was 9." People are gonna be like, "Hey, you were 9. What do you know, man? You were 9 years old. You
Exactly.
probably forgot."
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what we say. I mean, people aren't going to believe anything we have to say. I mean, dude, there's people out there that still don't believe in COVID-19. They believe it's just a government conspiracy. You think you're going to get them to believe that the Statue of Liberty has been moved to another island?
It's a big one. It's like, okay, personally, did you go to the torch by any chance, or like to the way to the top? But you remember you were able to, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
it was an option.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was an option. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah.
'Cause
I mean, it's like it's different. I mean, it's just different than it was. I mean, and I know it sounds crazy, but I mean,
oh,
when this all first got started, I mean, I saw people posting pictures and stuff too of like an empty spot, people standing in front of an empty spot. Like the Statue of Liberty used to be back there, but now the picture's blank, just them
oh
standing in
my
front of an empty
God.
spot. You know,
Whoa. That's a
it's it's like the picture's changed or something. Now they're just like, why were they taking a picture in front of an empty spot? Like
exactly.
there's pictures of people on the ferry,
Yeah.
right? As they're driving by on the boat, and they're like us at the Statue of Liberty waving, but
Mm.
you know that the Statue of Liberty is supposed to be in the background, but it's not there. It's just Ellis Island. It's
Ah.
not the statue. So there's a
Whoa.
lot of little discrepancies like that. They're just like anomalies that don't quite make sense. Like the Jewel song, like "Who Will Save Your Souls." I mean, like that song was always "Who Will Save Your Soul." It doesn't make any sense. It's like a weird anomaly that just doesn't add up. The ones that are like in pop culture, like the songs and the movies and stuff, they're easier to digest. When you start talking about history, when you start talking about locations like the Statue of Liberty,
Yeah.
that's when you really hit aggression. That's when people will really start getting mad at you when you start
Yeah.
talking about stuff
True.
like that. So
It happened with a friend of mine when I said about the Great Wall of India, and then he got so angry. He's like, "Oh, you don't know your what, blah blah blah." I had to like basically unfriend him after a while, because he started to abuse me in public. Like, dude, I just asked. Like, I never heard of this thing, and I'm like, that's when I was first waking up to the Mandela effect. So I felt very isolated. I'm thankful my wife was very open to it, and it seems you also have a supportive spouse who's
yeah,
like into the Mandela effect. But imagine, I have seen some reports where there's like disagreements between the spouses, and it's like gets into like these heated arguments, and all of a sudden their friends are against them now. And has that kind of thing happened? Like your close people, have they like uh
well, you know what it I think here's one thing. Okay, so I think that when the pandemic hit, I
yeah.
think a lot of things took a backseat to the pandemic
Hmm.
because no one had experienced anything like a global pandemic like this before.
Right.
It's like, what the hell's going on? Everyone's wearing masks.
Oh, that was
Everyone's worried about getting
yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So I think everything really took a backseat to that. But
Right.
before that happened, um, you know, I would try to tell my friends and family about it. Like I'd test them, like, "Hey man, what do you remember from this, man? Like,
Yeah.
what color do you remember the Fonz's jacket being from Happy Days?" So I would try to think of Mandela effects that person, I knew that they knew about that thing, and I would try to ask them.
Right.
Like my mom, she remembers Happy Days, the
Yeah.
TV show. So I would ask her stuff about that. I mean, it's so easy, dude, because there's so many Mandela effects out there. It's like it's affecting everything.
Yeah.
Um, you know, just like Cracker Jacks, for example. Like Cracker Jacks, like that's Cracker Jack now
Wow.
instead of
I didn't know
Cracker
that one.
Jacks, like the snack
Yeah,
Cracker
yeah, I know that
Jacks.
one. Yeah.
Dude, it's just Cracker Jack.
That's
It's
so
not
bizarre.
Cracker Jacks anymore. It's Cracker Jack. My
Yeah.
mom used to get us that snack when we were kids, so
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it because I always wanted the little prize inside at the bottom of the box, and you know, she. I think some people like they're like, what? My mom thinks it's some kind of internet thing, just some kind of internet like, you know,
Ah,
you know.
yeah.
She's old, she's older, and she
Ah,
doesn't really, she doesn't care about it that much. And I think
ah.
that's how a lot of people do, man. You tell them about it, and it's not a big part of their life, and they don't want to make it a big part of their life. They're just like,
Why?
that's something else. That's over here. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing over here.
Why? I mean, our reality is changing, and then like you're still like, oh, that's nice. And I heard some people say, oh, how is that going to put money in your pocket? Or these silly excuses and all these, of course, then saying, oh, you're just misremembering and all that stuff. When reality itself is showing what it is really, and I'm a big Christian, like I'm a Christian myself, and I know that Jesus, Christ always said that, he was doing all these miracles, and he said that one day you will. I always go back to that, like what he said, like one day you will also do these things. Like he would walk on water, and then like Peter would all like walk on for a bit, and then he fell through because he didn't believe enough. So I'm wondering, maybe it's kind of connected with the whole thing, like maybe like God and Jesus are showing us that once and for all, like this is all an illusion, and we're like at the end times now. And maybe what are your thoughts on that? Or like, do you think like is this going to continue on for another 100 years, or is this going to be like? Do you think there's an ending to all this stuff? Like, so we're just all
Well, I
gonna,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's an ending to all of it because
yeah,
I haven't seen anything that lasts forever yet. I mean, everything seems to have a beginning and an ending. I mean, as a human being, it's hard for me to fathom true infinity.
right,
Uh, you know, but I think that the idea of the apocalypse and the
hmm,
idea of the end of times, I think it's something very hard for everyone to wrap their head around,
right,
and it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Is that a possibility? Yeah, sure. I mean, could that be just as relevant as anything else that people say? Yeah. Could it be more relevant than anything? Yeah, sure, it could. It's terrifying, man. That's my only reaction to it. Is it's terrifying to think that that might be what is happening because what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what it means, man. It's gonna be like
yeah,
that movie Left Behind. Remember that movie
yeah,
Left
yeah.
Behind, where like
Is it
a
Nicolas
bunch of people.
Cage, or somebody?
Michael J. Fox.
Really? Okay, I'll look into it.
Was that right? Left Behind, where like
I
a bunch of people disappear.
Yeah, yeah, that I thought it was Nicolas Cage. He was a pilot or something, and then
You
he
might be
has,
right. You
yeah,
might be right.
that's
Yeah, you
another
might be right.
Mandela effect. Nicolas Cage's name has changed now, so that's
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
it's it used to be Nicholas. Now it's
It's
like
not like
Ni.
that anymore.
No, no, it's I'm a big fan of that actor, so for
Yeah,
me it was
that's weird.
oh man,
Yeah, I remember it being Nich.
yeah, it's all like I said,
Nicholas.
yeah, yeah,
Nicholas. Yeah,
yeah.
Nicholas Cage. Yeah.
I love that actor, and all
What
of a
is it
sudden it's
now?
Nicolas. I think you can Google it.
Wow.
Doesn't even look right, man. It does not. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like, and then Gordon Ramsay. The when the people's names changes, wow, that's like, whoa, man. There's something. Are these even real people? Sometimes I have to like start guessing, or did they? There's that whole thing in Hollywood where you have to sell your soul or something. So maybe they're not all there, right? And maybe that's why they're going with whatever is
There's a
happening.
lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot of weird stuff out there, man. I mean,
yeah.
I will never like just like absolutely flat out deny someone when they tell me something that they believe might be a possibility. I mean, all you got to do is go to the Denver airport, go to the
Oh, yeah.
Denver airport and look around. I mean, what the hell is going on out there? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, have you ever been to Denver Airport? Have you ever
Oh,
studied that at all?
I've heard of it. Like one lady on the on YouTube put like videos. It's really demonic or something, right? Some of the
It's
statue.
weird, man. There's a
It's
lot of
weird.
weird stuff at this airport. I mean, there's
Yeah.
stuff that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I won't even get into that. But yeah, but the point is, there's a lot of strange things surrounding that airport that just don't like make any sense whatsoever. Like, why do they got this giant 30-foot Mustang statue out there with these like demonic red eyes? You know, they spent like I want to say almost $1 million or
Whoa.
six no, it was I don't want to misquote myself, so whatever. They spent a lot, millions on this
Wow.
automatic baggage system that goes underground, like tunnels underground. It never did work. It never worked. They spent millions on it, and they spent more millions trying to get it to work. Supposedly, it was never open to the public. It
Whoa.
sits under there. Or the fact that they had five buildings for the Denver airport, giant buildings when they started building it. Supposedly they just messed up. So what did they do with those buildings? They buried them. They're underground.
All that money, man. That's
So why didn't they just tear them down? No, they buried them and they built the airport on top of them. So now there's these underground buildings
whoa.
and all this giant tunnel system. This is all documented fact. You can find all this stuff, but it's
Wow.
like, what's going on at that airport? So
Ah.
so when you ask me about like these actors, could they be NPCs, or could they even be like not even real people, or whatever?
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't know, because I don't really know those people personally. I don't even know what I'm looking at, sometimes with deep fakes and
Yeah.
everything else. I mean,
I've
who knows what the truth is?
I've seen some still the videos of celebrities where they go very very still all of a sudden. Have you seen those? Like, or even there was like a video of like a crowd of people that just went completely still, like completely, like they were like statues,
That's
not
weird.
moving. And it's like, what the heck are these people? Are they alive or like? And then all of a sudden, and they were like in the middle of doing something, and then all of a sudden they snap out of it, and then just go like it's normal, everything's normal. And I've seen like the worst is, I mean, I don't know if you'll believe me, but I've seen like people in a little bit of distance in the background, they just sort of shift all of a sudden, they just change like. And I know Dolores Cannon. I don't. Are you familiar with her work? She talks a lot about the
Only from
background characters. Yeah.
Only from I want to say from
Yeah.
Moneybags videos, because he
Oh, okay.
talks
Okay.
about. I think he
Yeah.
does talk about Dolores Cannon
She's
sometimes. I think I
fascinating.
remember him
She
talking
d-
about her.
she's like she does a lot of this past life regression, and she knows a lot of the spiritual stuff, and I do trust her quite a bit. And she said like there's something called background people. So when you go out, you're not actually seeing like actual people, but they're more like they just fill it up so that it's like it's kind of like being on the part of a Truman Show, like you're
Yeah,
Truman in
it's
real
a
life.
great show. That was a great movie, man.
Oh, I love that. That was a lot of disclosure in that movie too.
You think
And
so?
I think so. Yeah. The
Sometimes,
advertisements, especially. Yeah.
hey, sometimes I'll be driving around my town thinking I'm gonna hit a wall, like I'm in a goldfish bowl.
Maybe it's not so small. I think it's a lot bigger, or whatever we're in, but it could be like, have you ever like had these, you must have gone through like synchronicities, right? You think of a
All the time, dude.
there you
I'm
go.
so glad you brought that up. That's another thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that happens all the time now, dude.
I know.
All
Same here.
the time. Like that never
Wow.
happened like that before all the time. That
Yeah.
that didn't used to happen. It wasn't like, I pick up this cup with this font and now all of a sudden like I see this font everywhere, like on like 8 different things the rest of the
Wow.
day. I
Wow.
mean, it's different weird things. Maybe that's a bad example, but yeah, I mean, like
I get you.
here's an example. Someone will mention a song to me that they like, right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'll hear that song on the radio. I'll get in the car and I'll hear that song on the radio.
There you go. That's
Now all of a
Truman
sudden
like.
someone will mention that song on a television show I'm
Yeah.
watching. It's like, wait a second. Someone mentioned that song to me on a telephone call. Now all of a sudden I hear that song on the radio. Now all of a sudden someone mentions it on a television show, all in the span of a 24-hour period. What is that?
That's like a Truman Show. There is somebody's like managing, like for example, the radio station guy. How did he pick that very song that you were like your friend mentioned? Like what went through that mind? And when you
Yeah.
really start analyzing it, it's like what? It's like
What
you
are,
have your custom built reality around you. It's all catered to you. It's
yeah, because
weird.
what are the odds? I mean,
What are
what
the
are the
odds?
odds that that would happen? Like, they
Exactly.
got to be astronomical. What are the odds?
Yeah.
Someone mentioned something to me on the phone,
Yeah.
and then I hear that same thing on the radio, especially if it's like an
Bizarre.
obscure song. It's not even like a song they're just playing all the time. It's
Yeah.
like some
All of a sudden.
obscure song. You
Yeah.
haven't heard it for like years. Someone mentions it on the phone, and now all of a sudden you hear it the same day. And then all of a sudden you hear someone mention it on a television show. That happens to me all the time now. That's crazy. That just started happening in the last couple years. So
It's like
I
a
don't know what
giant prank show or something like
is that
everybody's in on
related to
it.
the, yeah, I mean, is that related to the Mandela effect? Because that
Could
stuff
be.
all started happening around the same time. For
Yeah.
me, it seemed like it all started happening around the same time.
That's a great point. Maybe because you're now Mandela affected, they're like throwing this little stuff at you, like X on top of that. So like either to like keep track of you, maybe they're like keeping track of you some weird way, or maybe they're like like just trying to play with you, like some
I'll tell you a
yeah.
story, Sonny. I'll tell you another
Oh,
story. You're gonna get a kick out of this. So a couple years ago, this is maybe 2018, maybe 2019 or so. My wife and I, we went to this this restaurant. Went through the drive-through. It was hot. Let's get a milkshake. We went to this drive-through, got a milkshake. And fine. So that day happened, no big deal. And then like a week later, we're driving by, and that restaurant looks abandoned. Like
wow,
it looks
fun.
abandoned. Like it had been like closed for months, right?
Whoa.
And so this I don't know if you're familiar with this franchise, but this was a Long John Silver's.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's just like a fish place, whatever, but it's like a fast food place, like McDonald's. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
there's more than one. Well, in our
Right.
town, we got two, right? So I say, I got to know what's going on here. This place looks like it's been closed for months. We were just there getting a milkshake last week.
Whoa.
So I drive to the other Long John Silver's across
Yeah.
town, and I
Yeah.
say, hey, listen, I go through the drive-through just like a customer, and we order something, and I was like, hey, listen, while I got you here, let me ask you, like, that other Long John Silver's on the other side of town, I noticed it was closed. How long has that been closed? Like, oh yeah, they've been closed. They've been closed for months. They closed a
Whoa.
long time ago. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I didn't tell her, yeah, that's weird because we just ordered a milkshake from there last week. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
tell her that because I didn't want to look
Oh,
crazy.
I think you should have, because then be like kind of like I don't know, man. But I understand though. You feel kind of uncomfortable, like right, especially when you're
What are you
talking to
gonna do? I
strangers.
mean,
But
that's like one of those personal Mandela effects that's
it's
just like it just like but you know what? It wasn't just me. I had
yeah.
another person with me. Like we
Oh,
were both there. My wife and I were both there.
you all
So
remember. You all
yeah,
remember
we
it.
all
Yeah.
remember it happened.
Wow.
But can I explain it? No, I can't explain it. Can I sit here and fool myself and say, yeah, well, maybe we just ordered that milkshake months ago and I just forgot and I thought it was last week. Okay, yeah,
Nah.
I guess I could do that. Maybe I could just tell myself that was just all that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
whatever, man. Am I going to run around and shout it from the rooftops? No, because no one's going to believe me and I'm just going to look like a crazy fool. So
Yeah. I,
people
I I hear you, man. I hear you.
people got their own narrative already in their head of what they
Exactly.
believe, and it doesn't matter what we say. I think the personal ones are
Are the biggest
they're the biggest ones,
life
but
changers.
those are the ones that really a lot of people don't know what to do with because no one really associates it with. You can't talk to a stranger about a personal Mandela effect, so
Yeah.
it's like you can, but no one's going to believe you. So it's crazy, but yeah, there's a lot of things that have happened, man, and I wish I could give you some kind of a theory about what it is or what I think it is, and I wish I had some kind of proof to back it up, or
It's hard, man. How do you
you
prove a
know
dream? It's hard. Like it's
yeah.
you just maybe it is the way it is. Not everything is meant to be known. Like because I believe God created this world for a reason, and he's just keeping things hidden just so that he tests us, right? Otherwise, there's gonna be no point. If we had everything all the time, there's no point to life, right? I mean, let's face it. Like, imagine you had everything you ever wanted. Would you still like be doing your business, for example, or would you still be passionate about, other things? Especially when we're here. Maybe when we're in heaven, our consciousness is much higher, so we can do that. But when you're here, I think we're here to like learn certain lessons, and maybe it's time to go home. And this is God's way of just saying, okay, like maybe it's time to come home. So I'm just showing you these little signs. God works in mysterious ways, right? So
Right on, man.
could be
That's a beautiful sentiment. It's a beautiful
yes,
sentiment, and I don't know. I mean, it's terrifying to be honest with you. To think about the end of times is
yeah,
it's more than my small little brain can wrap can grasp. That's for
yeah,
sure. I mean, like
yeah.
I guess, we just accept the reality that's put in front of us. I mean, think about how COVID-19 has changed everything.
Exactly. It
I
showed us
mean,
all. Yeah, everything's
it's
closed. Everybody's at
yeah,
home.
everything's closed. Everyone's worried about germs now.
Yeah,
Everybody's thinking about,
yeah.
getting sick and stuff. And I don't know, man. It's pretty weird. The Mandela effect is I don't
It's
know. I believe it's real. I mean, they made
me
a
too.
movie about it. They made a movie
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
I saw that movie. It was very good. Did you like it or?
I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic. I was glad that the Mandela effect got some kind of like, some kind of a pedestal, some kind of validation, if you will.
Exactly.
Uh,
That, and it wasn't mocking anybody. It was like just straight on. That I liked about sometimes mainstream mocks you, like
yeah.
they say, oh, it's just misremembering. I've seen a lot of articles like that in mainstream and even on the TV news and stuff. But that
And I
movie,
wonder, and I wonder how many people saw that movie and like wasn't even aware of all those Mandela effects, and then they saw that movie and they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute, hold up, what?"
yeah,
But the way they explain it in the movie, it kind of just yeah, they kind of pull it back to like a science fiction thing. Like it's like they made it seem like it was all a big simulation, and
yeah, which it could be, but
which yeah, it totally could be.
yeah,
But I think that in the movie, the way that movie played out, I think a lot of people probably walked away from it feeling like, okay, that was a science fiction thing.
yeah, like the Matrix, right?
Yeah, that was like the
It's just
Matrix kind of deal.
yeah,
But I
oh,
still loved it. I thought it was a cool movie. It's a crazy subject, dude. I mean,
yeah,
I remember reading about the Library of Alexandria. Like my whole life, that famous Library of Alexandria burned down in a fire, and like tons of valuable books and scrolls were lost.
wow,
Worlds of knowledge, like the world's knowledge stored. But now that fire happened, but like they didn't really lose anything. It didn't even really catch anything on fire. So that's a complete change for me from what I remember. But I guess I was just mistaken, like with thousands of other things I was mistaken about now. So like,
and I've noticed also, like, speaking of mistakes, sometimes I'll be like typing something and I know for sure I did not make that spelling mistake. But
oh
then
yeah,
when
yeah,
that's a big one for me, like, especially since I got into the Mandela effect, even I know for sure I did not, even if there was a video that was like a Mandela effect video, which I thumbed up, right, on YouTube. And then I just scrolled down, looked up at the comment, looked at the comments, and then I scrolled up. All of a sudden it was thumbed down. Like, what? I just thumbed it up. What? Those
I'm
are
so
like
glad.
little stuff. Yeah.
Hey, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Sonny,
Yeah.
because like I write a lot, and the spelling errors, those have been big ones for me.
Oh
Like, so
yeah.
we were talking about music, right? So
Yeah.
this has been several years ago now, but I remember I had published several albums, and I
Wow.
think I had like 7 or 8 albums, and I wanted to go ahead and just register copyright for that entire library with the government,
Oh,
like for
cool.
the register the copyright for that
Wow.
music. This is a while ago, man. This is like 2006 or something.
Okay.
So what I did was I typed out all the lyrics,
Right.
right, for all the music. So in Word, I'm in Word, right? So I'm getting ready to send this off to the library, to the Library of Congress. I'm getting ready to register this copyright. So like, I'm doing a spell check in Word. Yeah, I'm making sure all my spelling is correct on my lyrics that I'm getting ready to register for copyright.
Yeah.
Okay, so the spelling was correct in 2006 when this happened. So, last year I pulled that document up, and like it was a nightmare, dude. It was a nightmare.
Whoa.
The spelling errors were like crazy. All the words that were spelled wrong. How is it possible? I did it in Word. I meticulously went through it and spell checked everything before I submitted it for copyright. How is it possible that all these spelling errors? I'll give you another one. I worked in healthcare, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the word Caesar is different now.
Oh
Like
yeah, I didn't know
it used
that.
to be Ceasar, and now
Oh,
it's
okay.
Caesar. All right. So
Interesting.
that's different. Well, I used to work in healthcare, and I used to work on a medical postpartum unit. This is like for women who just gave birth,
Right.
and the word cesarean section comes from the
Oh,
word. It comes from the word Caesar, right? So that word cesarean is different now too.
oh,
It's flipped too. The A and the E are flipped now also, and it blew me away because I used to do like nursing notes all the time. I was very familiar with the spelling of that word, cesarean section.
whoa.
I didn't stop there. I called Ohio State, labor and delivery unit, and I talked to them about it. This was like last year or the year before when I did this. I said, hey, listen, you guys, you deal with labor and delivery every day. You deal with cesarean sections every day. How do you spell this word? They gave me the old spelling,
Whoa.
right?
That's
And
mind
I said,
blowing.
well, I don't want to take any more of your time because I know you guys are busy, but like that's not how it's spelled now that I'm seeing. It's spelled the other way. It's like the A and the E are flipped. So it's really weird, man. But yeah, there's a lot of spelling changes and there's more coming every day. Like every single day, I'm finding more and more spelling changes. And those are some of the worst ones to me, man. Like a lot. Like that's not a word anymore. You don't put A and LOT together. Like now they're separate. I don't know if you noticed that when you try writing things, a lot they don't go together anymore. They used to go
Oh,
together. Now they don't.
wow. That's a big one too for me. That's just these little things. And of course, spelling is a big thing, especially since you run a business. It's very important, right? For you to get everything right. And then everything just gets messed up and it affects your, like, you have to spend more time now on it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and if we think about the idea of a cesarean section, not to go back to that story we just talked
uh,
about, but let me just say this:
yeah.
in medicine, things are Latin. Like that's a
Ah,
Latin word. Cesarean is Latin.
right.
Okay. The reason they use Latin in medicine is because it's a dead language and it's not going to change. So
Oh,
it's because it's
it's
not going to
fixed.
change. It's
Right.
fixed. All right. It's
Right. Right.
fixed and everything can be very specific. Right. So there's
Interesting.
no errors. There's no errors. So like this wouldn't be a situation where a word would be spelled two different ways. Like that's a thing with a lot of these spelling errors of the Mandela effect is they'll say like, oh well, this the both variations are acceptable. People spell this word both ways or whatever. Some of these words are Latin. There's no two ways to spell the word. That's how they ended up in medicine. So
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous that they would have two different spellings for that word. Or like Curious George without a tail. Oh,
Yeah.
really? They drew him without a tail? Like monkeys don't have tails? Why
Ah,
would they do that?
that's another
That
big
doesn't.
one. That was in the movie. Yeah, I remember that was in the movie, right? Little girl had a Curious George thing, the monkey, and then it had a tail in the first reality,
Yeah,
and then it didn't have a tail in this. But like once that guy woke up,
yeah.
that
Why did they do that? What?
yeah,
Oh, yeah. We just thought it'd be cooler without a tail.
yeah.
Like
Those are those are obvious one. And then there's the one with the braces in the teeth of that movie, Moonraker.
yeah,
That's
from 007, man.
that was
From
another big obvious one because it just throws the whole like entire point of the joke off completely.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just
It was
makes no
different.
sense.
It just made no sense after that. So
Yeah.
those are things that they stop making sense once the Mandela effect happened. Like you said, they don't make any sense anymore. So why would it even be there? Or
Yeah.
another one, I just heard about this recently, dude. This blew my mind. I just saw this last week, and I think this is a new one because I don't remember hearing about this before. But I don't know if you're familiar with the show Knight Rider. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
from back
David
in
David Hasselhoff, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
back in the '80s, right?
Baywatch guy.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he's in that show Knight Rider, and the car could talk, right?
Yeah.
And always before, the little control panel that talked to him was right there, like on his dashboard, right? It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
right
I
here,
remember that one. Yeah.
right where his like CD player would be or something, right there, like little tape player where your
Yeah.
radio would be. That's where the thing was.
Yeah.
Not there anymore, right? Now it's like right there in the dash, right where your speedometer would be, right
Oh.
behind your steering wheel. That's where that little thing is that talks to him now, right? But the weird thing about it, Sonny, is that when you watch the show now, he's still looking over here to talk to him. He's still looking over
Holy
here.
crow.
Hey Kit, do this for me. Hey Kit, do that for me. And he's looking over here, but Kit's not there anymore. Now he's like right there, right behind the steering
See,
wheel.
that's a big residue right there because the actor is still like in the old timeline because
Yeah.
but the reality has changed. Oh
How can
man.
you explain it, man? It doesn't make any sense.
And there's a famous line in I Love Lucy where Lucy, you got some splaining to do. That's
Hmm.
no longer there at all. There's that's another famous line that's been parodied and then
I think I saw it parodied in Futurama. We were watching this
yeah,
cartoon called Futurama, like
yeah,
I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, me and my family, and I saw him parody that, and
yeah.
yeah, it's
Where,
not
where
even
does
in
all
there
this
anymore.
where did the parody come from then? You know, it's but yeah, those are like the little ones, and then there's the big ones. There seem to be like different levels of it, like the small logo changes, or it could be like just TV show lines, or it could be the Statue of Liberty just completely moving. So
Yeah,
nothing's off the table with this, or even it could
no,
be personal life stuff. Yeah,
nothing's off the table, man. It's a bunch of weird stuff happening, and it's like I don't. I guess I just try not to think about it too deeply because it's. I guess like for me, I was in it really, really heavily,
right.
and I was like Mr. Detective trying to figure out what was happening, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. It was weird and crazy, and like it made me like challenge reality, you know,
Good in
and
some ways. Yeah,
in some ways good, but in a
yeah,
lot of ways bad because like you have to go to believe something in
yeah,
reality, right?
yeah.
I mean, when you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, like you need to be able to trust the reality in front of you if you want to
As
maintain
yeah,
your sanity.
exactly. Or your
So,
livelihood. We all have livelihoods, right? We
or
have a
your
job.
livelihood.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you have to be able to believe something. Like, what are
Exactly.
you going to believe? It's really hard to walk around believing that every single thing in your life could be changed or may have been changed, and like you're just now remembering that it was changed, or maybe you just misremembered it, or maybe you just remembered it wrong, or whatever. It's hard to like believe that every single day. So like, I think for me, the answer was to just like, all right, put the Mandela effect over here and
Yeah,
move on with my life and just file it under things I can't explain because it's weird, but
that's
I'm
fine.
not going to spend too much time thinking about it because it's really hard to live in a world where you don't trust anything.
Yeah, I agree. Like you need a bit of the material stuff to stay solid, just so that you can maintain your day to day life. But at the same time, personally for me, I used to be a bit of an atheist who was too materialistic, right? Like this is going back years ago. But then Mandela Effect has definitely gotten me on a more spiritual journey since then, and I think for me personally, that's a good thing that came from this. So now I'm a bit more. I'm not too attached. Like I'm still here. I still want to like do well in this realm as much as I can, but I'm not too attached with it because,
Sure.
and we're not here forever, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody's living here forever, so it's good that maybe we're getting a glimpse of something that's beyond this realm. And you know what? If it can help in any way, just it's also your perspective, right? Like if you see some things in a positive light, you can use something. Moneybags would always say that go create the reality you want, right? Like something like
Yes.
that.
Yep.
I like I like his positive take. That really helps me out. And speaking of other channels, is there any particular channels that you'd like to mention that our viewers would like to see if they're also Mandela affected, or in
I,
general?
I would say probably not. I mean, I would say that most of the stuff I got on the internet is about business and
Okay,
how to get your business online, and
okay.
how to do that kind of stuff. I do have a channel where I made a lot of Mandela Effect videos. It's
Oh,
called
good.
Cam Fats, KAMFATZ. You can just go
Okay.
to YouTube and type in Cam Fats and find it. I did quite a few Mandela Effect videos. I called a museum about the John F. Kennedy car.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, I called a bookshop called the library, the Lion and Lamb bookstore, which defied explanation. I emailed CERN and and talked
Oh,
talked to CERN about stuff, and that was scary.
oh.
Um,
What did they
but
say? Did they say anything in particular? Like
come on, man.
they didn't say.
Yeah, they told me that they were behind it and they were sorry.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's truth. That could be like they're making they're saying the truth, but they do it in a mocking way, just
Yeah,
to like they do that kind of stuff. Like they,
no,
it
they
could be.
didn't. No, they were like really just like, they were just
Uh,
like, yeah, yeah, we're just doing our normal operations here. I forget exactly what they said, but it was very business-like and just kind of
oh,
like,
of
ding,
course.
just get away
Yeah.
from us, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, you asked me a while ago if I thought there was going to be an end to it.
Yeah.
And I'd never thought about that. Like that was a really, really great question. And
Thank you.
like I do believe there's going to be an end to it when I
Okay.
when I sit here and think about it. And if you think about that question, is there going to be an end to it? Then you kind of have to think about the question: is this important? Does this
Mhm.
matter? And I think that, yeah, I think the Mandela effect does matter. I think it is important, and I think it probably does mean something. I don't know what. Maybe it could be a religious thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there'll be an end to it, and I don't know what that's going to look like. So it could be pretty scary.
Maybe we'll all go to sleep and wake up in paradise. It's like
Yeah,
that could be a nice way to like. I mean,
that'd be
like you said,
awesome, man. That'd be freaking awesome.
no more homeless people. There's a lot of suffering in this world too, right? I mean, let's face it. Like even before this, uh, COVID-19 and stuff, there was a lot of suffering, right? So, and one thing that has happened since 2020 is that people are realizing what's really important: family and friends, and keeping in touch with our loved ones. It's much more important than making more and more money. I mean, money is important, but it's not life, right? At the end of the
Yeah,
day.
absolutely. It's not life. It's not really. At the end of the day, I guess it's not really important at all. If you got enough money to just kind of exist and support your family and be happy and comfortable, then I mean, how important is it really? I mean,
Yeah.
we're
And
in a world where cryptocurrency is you
oh yeah.
know coming of age and becoming a thing. So what is that besides a math equation on a computer? So like, I mean, how
Yeah.
important is it? What does it mean? I mean, I think with the idea of cryptocurrency, you start looking at this idea of what is money? Like what
Exactly.
it starts making, I think it's going to probably start making people question, what exactly money is. So yeah, I mean, I think in that regard, yeah, money only matters as much as
The
it can help
value.
you, yeah,
Yeah.
in life. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a very introspective topic. And I don't know. I guess I walk away from this interview feeling like I didn't have enough to give you, and I wish I had more to give you,
Oh, you
man.
gave a lot, man. Like I loved your stories that you shared with us, and your insights were really good. And whatever helps people like that are listening, whoever's Mandela affected, I know some people are feeling alone right now. So hey, if this video helps them, and I mean, that's great, right? You're not alone. Nobody's
Yeah.
alone in this.
Yeah, you guys aren't alone out there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's hit a lot of people in really weird ways.
yeah,
And like I started my journey with the Mandela effect, taking it really seriously, trying to get to the bottom of it,
right.
and it felt bottomless. I mean, it felt freaking bottomless. Like I couldn't get to the bottom of it. I mean, some of them I could kind of explain away, but the more I found, the more I found that like I had a very clear memory of. So for every 5 or 10 that I found that like I could probably explain that away, or I don't really remember that too good, so maybe that's just BS. I'd find one or two that like I knew for 100% fact how that was
Yeah,
before, and it's not like that anymore. Uh, so whenever you hit one of those, then you run into this thing that kind of questions your very reality. Like it's
right.
hard to hit one of those, because you're like, what the hell is going on around here?
Yeah,
So I think that people out there who are having a trouble, I say, hey man, there's no shame in just putting it over here on the shelf of things that can't be explained, and just moving on with your life, man. You don't have to like jump into the bottomless pit,
yeah.
head on 100%.
Live your life. Live your dreams.
Yeah,
Like you are. I get you're living your dream. You're doing your music. You're doing your business on the side. You're
yeah,
working for yourself. So if it can inspire anybody, like since it could all be an illusion, right? Make it like don't be afraid of it. Don't think that.
don't be
Yeah,
afraid of it, and
that's
don't be
important.
afraid to put it on the shelf. It doesn't mean it's not real. I don't want anybody to sit here and think that I'm telling you that the Mandela effect's not real, or we're all just misremembering things. It's not what I'm saying at all. I just, I think, I don't know. Maybe there's a smarter man out there than me that can find the answer for what's happening, but I sure couldn't. So
It's a group think. I think we all have to come together. And
yeah, I called a
yeah.
museum about the John F. Kennedy thing. The museum that actually has the car there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I forget where it's at, but it's the place that actually has the car, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's got the 4 seats now instead of the six. But when I
Yeah,
asked the lady on the phone, she
yeah.
said it had six, and then it only had four, so she remembered it wrong too, and
Ah,
she changed it. But yeah, that was on. I did these videos like in 2019, I think, and it's on that YouTube channel. But there's a lot, dude. I mean, there's a lot. I knew a guy, like I think his name is Brian Stavely, but he had his whole town, his whole town's name changed, like
damn, that's a big
documented.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, he lived in a town called Centerville, right? And the
Mhm.
name of the town changed to Centralville.
Oh man, that's a big one. Yeah.
Well, it was a real big one because he called all these places around town, and they all thought the name was Centerville. Like he
Wow.
called like the Centerville Swim Club, right? And he's like, "What's the name of your place again?" And they're like, "Centerville Swim Club." You look on the front door; it says Centralville Swim Club. It's like the guy doesn't even know the name of his own business. They
Uh,
didn't know the town. They didn't know the name of the town had changed. And then
wow.
a while later, people started calling it Centralville. Like,
Ah,
and he was saying that like, yeah, it was like an update thing. Like they
yeah, that's the
take the
scary one.
update.
That's the
I don't
scary
know if
part.
that's real or not, man. I
Yeah.
mean, is it some kind of machine? Is it like what do you mean they took the update? Is it a computer now? We're all living in a computer? What are you talking about? They took the update. Who gave them the update?
Or are there background people around us? They just get the updates, or are they too scared to admit it? That's also a thing, right? They're just like they don't know what's going on. They're freaking out, so they're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
They don't
always
want to
that
think
way.
about it. They don't
There
want
you
to think
go.
about it. They're freaking out. They don't want
Yeah.
to think about it. They're on their path. They're doing their thing, and it don't include like the entire world changing. So
Yeah, my message to all of them that don't want to think about it, hey, sooner or later you have to think about it, right? I mean, I know you can put it on the back burner, that's fine, but realize it's happening because we're not here forever. So if somebody gives you a great clue, like some people have like near death experiences and they go above and beyond and they see the whole picture and then they come back like, wow, that they have such a great insight on life. In fact, their life improves after that, right?
well
Because
said.
before that they were just like living like kind of materialistically, kind of like the way these shopping malls want us to consume and not like to get distracted. But could be a great wake-up call for anybody that's
It's well
listening out
said,
there.
man.
Take
You're
care.
absolutely right. I mean, it could be. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just throw my hands up with it. I don't know what to make of it, but I think you're right. I mean, I think it's important. I think it matters, and I don't think it's going to last forever. And I think when it does end, it will be a signal of something else. It
yeah.
won't be like it just goes away and like it's not happening anymore. It'll probably be something even weirder happening.
Yeah.
So,
There's
I mean,
some, yeah.
some religious people might even say, "Hey, this COVID-19 thing is a pestilence. It's the start of
Yeah,
you
the
know,
new age. That's
yeah,
another thing. Like we're moving away from the Iron Age, Kali Yuga, which according to Hinduism, and then we're moving into from Kali Yuga to the age of Aquarius. There's I believe all religions have their own message, to give to the world, and maybe they're all the religions are coming together, and like we're moving to a better age. So
some of these Mandela effects are just like weird, dude. Like they're specific. Like, and it makes me think like I can imagine like that company like being able to like have some kind of insider, like you can almost imagine like the company having some insider information and saying like, yeah, man, we want to use that time machine to go back in time and change this to where we'll have this advantage, or we'll have this yeah, we messed up the name of our company. Let's put an S on the end. Let's go back in time. But I
there's
think that's
that's another
ridiculous.
theory.
That would be just absolutely ridiculous.
Like the Simpsons, right? The TV show, they predict a lot of stuff. So some people say Simpsons are like the creators are like time travelers, but that's a whole other time traveling is a whole other topic.
Oh, I know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it all circles around the Mandela effect. You have
yeah,
all these theories circling around this one giant thing that
yeah,
nobody can really explain. So, and I think the common narrative is You guys are all crazy. You guys are just misremembering stuff, and you're so egotistical that you don't want to admit you're wrong.
But you know, that person might change like their opinion like tomorrow. Who knows?
Well,
Right?
let me ask you this,
Yeah.
Sonny. I know we've been running for a long time on this interview, but let me ask you this:
Yeah.
how much did you used to misremember things before this Mandela effect thing happened?
I mean, I would misremember like maybe keeping my wallets in a certain place, or you know, those little personal little things. But I would not forget like giant details, right?
Yeah,
Like logos and all that stuff. Maybe the tiny details on logos I might like get it wrong
yeah,
a little bit here and
sure.
there. Like Looney Tunes is now the TOONS instead of TUNES. Like a lot of people remember it. So
Hmm.
that one I could possibly get wrong because I always thought it was tunes, right? Cartoon. So it
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
more sense.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's like musical tunes.
Yes, it's I don't know. Sometimes it flip flops, but yeah, like those kind of things I can understand. But the big ones like Great Wall of India, that no way, man. That we never heard about it. That's like the second largest wall in the world now.
Yeah, like
Everybody
you never
caught.
learned about that. No one
Yeah,
ever learned about that in school or anything. I mean, it's
nope.
only the second largest wall in the world. I mean, why would anyone know about that, man? Who cares about that?
And they go on and on about Great Wall of China, right? We're all taught that, right, in
Hmm.
history. And then, but this other wall, nobody knows about it. So
Nobody cares about that, man. It doesn't
yes,
even matter. To
yeah,
talk about Looney Tunes, I mean, the funny thing about that is every single one of these things have like things around them that makes it not make sense.
hmm,
Like they came out with a spin-off show called Tiny Toons, and
yeah.
like that's spelled the original way. Like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
but why would they do that? I mean, why would they spell the Tiny Toons the original way? It's supposed to be based off of this other show, Looney
Right.
Tunes, but
Yeah.
they spelled it different. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like,
Right.
okay, why did that even happen? If it's supposed to be these are the Tiny Toons based off the Looney Tunes, you think they would be spelled tunes would be spelled the same way. I mean, just weird stuff, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll shut up about it. I get it.
Anyway, any final thoughts, Cam? Anything you want to promote? You can promote your music. Where can people hear music, or your business channel, and of course,
Well, if anybody
Supernatural.
out there is interested in trying to, start an online business or get their existing business online,
Okay.
you can check out my free podcast. It's called One Step Away.
Okay.
And it's just, motivation and entrepreneurial tips
Cool.
for people looking to get started online. Doesn't
Awesome.
really have anything to do with the Mandela effect at all. The only thing I'd say to people out there in regards to the Mandela effect is, hey man, don't beat yourself up. You're not crazy. It's just one of those things that's you can't always explain it, and but it's real, and don't be down on yourself when people tell you you're crazy. So
Inspire from that, maybe you were selected few to wake
yeah.
up, to wake the rest up. Who knows?
You
Maybe
think
that's
so,
our job
man?
here.
I don't know. I don't know.
God can choose anybody, right? Like, so you never know.
I tell you what, man,
Yeah.
you have some really eloquent ways to put things. You might be
Thank you.
right, man. That'd be really, really cool. That'd be really cool. I find the whole thing terrifying, to be honest with you. I'd rather it not be happening, to be honest. I don't want
Oh,
anything to do with it. Like it's like I'd like for things just to be the same as they were before. I mean, some of these things that have changed, maybe they've
yeah.
changed for the better, but a lot of things are just like what? Like why did that change? Like some of these things seem meaningless, dude. Some of these changes are meaningless. They don't even mean anything. Why did the A-team band change colors? Okay, look, let me challenge you. If this is an end of days event, if this is something that is transitioning the end of days, why would the A-team band change colors? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Seems kind of random, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah,
but like I said, it sometimes it's the small things that wake people up. For me, it was the Mr. Rogers song that first woke me up, right? So for somebody out there, maybe the A-team band is the one that triggers certain memories in their like childhood. So it might not be too significant for you, but for somebody else, it could be a huge thing. And then it's like breadcrumbs, right? Like little stuff. And then they see for me, another one was the Village People. I always remember there were five of them, right? And then now
right.
in this reality, there's six of them.
Six. There was an extra one now. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that. That was crazy, man.
Man, that made me a little bit weirded out because the whole video looks different now. You know, the YMCA, all their classic stuff. So,
and I get what you're saying, man, because it's like this particular change, it seems random and meaningless, but for somebody, that's gonna show them that something is different. Things have changed, and that's gonna maybe make them have a spiritual awakening, or maybe get more in touch with, you know, things that matter, and not worry so much about the materialistic things. So I get it, man. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You know, it could make other people just question reality and go insane.
Well, that was really great, Cam, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Toronto Business Journal. Once again, that's Cam Jennings, and be sure to check out his YouTube channel, Cam Facts, and of course, we'll be leaving links to his business channel and everything in the description below. Be sure to check that out as well. This is Santosh Kristudas, aka Sunny, for the Toronto Business Journal, signing out. And thank you so much for joining us today. And whatever the reality you think it is, just go out and create the best one you can.
Have a great one, guys. Peace.
You too. Bye.